Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Farlands or Bust. Farlands or Bust. This is some saplings on the ground. This is episode 524. Look at all these saplings. Oh, that's right. I chopped down a few trees on this little island before we called it a night in the last episode. But this episode, like I said, episode 524, today is filled with my inventory is what today is. Today is Thursday, or as I have it in my notes, Thursday. Thursday, I forgot the T. Thursday, October 29th, 2015. I am going to repopulate this island with all the trees I possibly can, so you may think that I destroyed the ecosystem, but nay, I multiplied it by 5 or 4 or some other fraction of a percentage. But yeah, it's a Thursday today, October 29th, 2015, and we're still walking to the Farlands, and so much for planting those trees, because those trees over there are having some sort of other problems that I unfortunately cannot help with. Burning in the fires of Mordor. Whoops, I fell. Let's grab some skeleton residue. Don't mind if I do. Well, I don't need those bones, so I will leave them. And we're continuing west to the Farlands here in Minecraft Beta 1.7.3. Version of the game that still contains the actual Farlands. So that's why we have maintained in it for many years. When did it update? Like, when did it update to 1.8? Like, that was the same year. That had to have been 2011, right? Because that was when the first Minecon happened in Vegas. And that was... Was that the release of 1.0? Or... I don't remember anymore. My mind is not what it used to be. It has traveled far and is weak and malnourished. All I'm eating is bread, but and giving the good pork to my dog here. But yeah, the version of Minecraft that we're playing is old, and that's kind of why I don't know what's happening in the current versions of the game. If you watch my live streams. Or stuff on the Minecraft server when we're even playing on the snapshots. I'm very confused and very lost as how to even craft some sort of shield thing that's annoying and can't even block in this version of the game, so I guess that's back to normal in the current snapshot versions. But that's beside the point. The point of Farlands or Bust right here, aside from walking to the Farlands, legit in this version of the game, no teleporting, no cheats, no flying, no nether travels, is to raise money for Child's Play charity at farlandsorbust.com. $7,431 even has been raised. Season 6 going for $60,000, so keep giving at farlandsorbust.com. So, how's it going? I know I didn't want to keep talking about this, but it seems inevitable, does it not? It is inevitable to continue talking about this YouTube bread situation. YouTube bread. YouTube bread. YouTube bread. I don't have any YouTube bread on me, but YouTube bread. It has turned into a thing. Quite the thing. Quite the thing. So... something that I didn't discuss, or maybe I did, but we didn't have all the answers to, and it's worth noting we still don't have all the answers to. This is, by the way, recorded a day early, so I'm recording this on Wednesday the 28th, which is the day that YouTube Red is supposed to launch, despite the fact that I'm obviously going to YouTube quite often. I don't see anything about it on, like, youtube.com, just going to youtube.com or anything like that, so I'm not 100% sure what exactly is going on there. YouTube, wow, I think I just went through everything I wanted to talk about in my head, but it actually didn't come out of my mouth. This whole entire thing, I think, is just exacerbated and compounded by the fact that YouTube, historically and is keeping with tradition, do not communicate at all with anybody in a proper fashion. Specifically, and worse so, the creators, those folks who provide, nay, give them the content that makes their website what it is, never get communicated to about changes or updates, problems, issues that would very vastly impact a creator's, specifically a full-time creator's, livelihood. When uploads don't work, simple things like that. When thumbnails suddenly disappear, we get no status updates. Even Twitter. There's Twitter updates. There's websites dedicated to seeing whether or not Minecraft services are up or down. There's no communication. There's no keeping us in the loop, and that, I think, is the gist, the reduction of all the problems that everybody is having with this YouTube Red situation. Even, I'm noticing quite a few viewers, perhaps casual users of YouTube, seem to be incredibly confused and are thinking that this subscription is necessary. They're thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to watch YouTube anymore because I'm not going to pay $10 for YouTube. Why would I pay $10 for YouTube? They don't understand that this is an optional thing. And if you don't join YouTube Red, everything continues as it previously has from your perspective. And that is a failure of communication on YouTube's part. The same thing happened when they introduced the ability for a channel to be a subscription channel. Like, I could lock down my entire channel and say, no, you need to subscribe, pay to view my stuff on my channel. Everybody thought that, all the channels are suddenly going to become that. And there was a little bit of a hubbub and misconfusion and uncommunication from that as well. So anyway, that's what everything can be boiled down to. The latest of which, we still don't know how the funds would be distributed amongst YouTube content creators from getting views from people who don't watch ads because they are on YouTube Red. Sure, it could be a 55-45 split of revenue, but then there's some very confusing verbiage in there about gross revenue, so that could be after YouTube's cost. So that might not be the fraction of $9.99, that might be a fraction of a lower number after YouTube takes their expenses out, like their expenses to run the thing, their expenses to pay the exclusive content, like the PewDiePie show and other stuff like that. Nobody knows, because it's not been explained. Also, how is that divvied up? Is it divvied up via watch time? There's rumors. All we've heard so far is rumors. There's been no, at least at this point, while I'm recording this, in the middle of the day on Wednesday, there's been no direct word from the horse's mouth, from the YouTube horse's mouth, about this. It's all speculation. There's word that, maybe, it looks like it's all into a single pool. So this 55% revenue from YouTube Red is put into a single pool, and then from that, it is distributed amongst creators, regardless of the watch time stuff, which would heavily favor those larger channels versus the not-so-large channels. So it's all very confusing. Nobody knows what's going on, and that is the biggest. That's the rub, my friends. That is the rub. The biggest rub today and yesterday was the news, again, coming from second parties. I ate that first piece of pork, didn't I? Sorry, Wolfie. Didn't mean to do that in front of you. That's what YouTube is doing to us. They're eating our pork. The latest news is that, as part of the announcement, they said, you can get a 1 month, as a viewer, a 1 month free trial to YouTube Red. Now I can't stop hearing YouTube Bread. To YouTube Red, it appears as though that viewers on that free trial will not, say a viewer on the free trial views one of my videos, no revenue gets transferred to the creator from that. It's just a free view, I guess. No revenue from the YouTube Red, obviously, and no revenue from ads since they're not watching ads. So essentially, being asked to work for free there in that situation. And doesn't seem to, and this is all, again, coming secondhand. Some networks, these are what networks are telling their partners, supposedly, which is strange. I wonder what hand networks have in this as well. What sort of deals they may have struck or didn't strike. Because I'm going to assume, specifically the big networks, your makers and whatnots, I'm going to assume there were deals struck, negotiations had for their behalf on the YouTube Red system, because they'll get a cut of the cut that goes to creators. It's very confusing. There's just a lot of hearsay, and it's all because of the lack of any information from YouTube itself. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, because it is a pretty hefty topic here on YouTube. And then we'll move on. I do have quite a few questions here from donors to Child's Play charity, so we'll get back to normal stuff. But this is worth talking about. We're discussing it. All right. In the morning, we will continue. And awakeness. So yeah, it's really just a lot of, you see, big YouTubers, your Total Biscuits, your Vlog Brothers, whatever, writing twit-longers and Reddit posts about it, but I don't know how much information they have that can be trusted. The Vlog Brothers in particular seem quite supportive of YouTube Red. Suspiciously so. I mean, I don't know. I like them. I like the content they produce, but they are very well intertwined into the YouTube system, what with VidCon and whatnot, that they have very close ties. So you kind of take that with a little bit of side-eye skepticism, I suppose. Their main thing is they don't like ads, just like I don't. That's the whole reasoning I started the Patreon, is like, ads are intrusive, they're manipulative. That's what they're supposed to do. They manipulate you into buying things. Even if you say, I know a lot of people say, oh, ads don't bother me, it still affects you. If it's not going to particularly sell you a product specifically from that ad, it's selling you the social construct, the culture, the lifestyle. It gets to you. They know what they're doing. They are a multi-billion-dollar industry who have, sociologists, psychologists, people who look at human behavior for a job. So they know you more than perhaps you know you. Your subconscious, your life, habits and whatnot. So yeah, there's always a thing there. So that's kind of the Vlog Brothers approach to it, and that's also been YouTube's approach to it. The main selling point for YouTube Red is to remove ads. I feel like it would have made both sides, both the viewers and the content creators, much happier if instead they advertised it as a way to support creators, as a way to almost upend the current internet model of advertising, supporting the content and services you use on a daily basis, and flip it on its head and say, well, what if we tried this way? We would not be at the behest of advertisers and information gatherers. I mean, all the free services that you use, your Twitters, your Facebooks, your Google Mails and stuff, they're not free. You are trading your information and privacy, even, and your eyes to advertising for those services. Would I pay for Twitter? Probably I would. It is a service I use every day. It could probably be a business expense at this point, honestly, the way I use it. But what is going on over here? We need to check this out. Sorry. Floating bits, which are floating. Oh yeah, they are floaty. I thought more stuff was going to load in. No, we just got floaty Tetris bits over here. So yeah, the way that advertising is slowly failing the internet and failing to keep the legs on the table of the stuff you consume and services you use on a daily basis, perhaps it is time for a model shift in that regard. So if they had framed it that way, they personally would have made me as a creator feel better. I don't know if that would have been a better way to sell it to viewers or whatever. And really, I don't know. There's so many people have said the same things that I'm saying. It is really aimed at the YouTube power user more so than the casual YouTuber. Although the casual YouTuber is typically where the majority of your views and historically ad views came from. If you look at the videos watched, you get more views from those people, from those videos that perhaps went a little bit viral. Those sinking simulator videos that I have up on my channel that mean literally nothing to the overall picture of my channel and Farlands or Bust and everything, but those are the ones that get 500,000 views or whatever because the casual YouTube internet searcher or whatever finds them and watches it and has a hearty chuckle and then never comes back. So the YouTube Red really is aimed at the power user who might already know and want to support and have more of an emotional attachment, say, to their creators of choice. But I don't know. Nobody knows because nobody's letting us know, I guess. The big thing going around now about this free trial and not getting paid for the free trial is, we need Taylor Swift to do what she did to the iTunes Apple Music thing. She wrote some big Tumblr post saying when Apple was having its free month trial of Apple Music, it wasn't going to be paying musicians based on that, and she had a big old post that I'm an incredibly skeptical and pessimistic curmudgeon. So you kind of think, does she really write such things without the input and perhaps not at the behest of her recording label? Did they really let somebody do that just on their own? Because with the free trial, the recording label, the music label, gets no money either. So maybe they wanted to push iTunes in that direction because other such ways at the bargaining table broke down to make such a thing happen. So let's have Taylor Swift turn the fans against them. Of course, we don't have a Taylor Swift here in YouTube. Our Taylor Swift PewDiePies and whatnot have their own secret deals in order to do their exclusive content with YouTube Red. So, YouTube Red. It's gluten, I tell ya. It's gluten. And I ain't biting. So I don't know. It's all just a very strange... So a lot of you YouTubers are probably talking about it, tweeting about it, snarky stuff. But it's for good reason. And I hope... it's one of those things also. I was saying, we'll have to wait and see. We've already agreed to it. We don't know what it's going to do because nobody's letting us know. We'll have to wait and see. Well, now we'll have to wait and see even longer because we are expecting a drop in revenue because of all the free trials that we're not going to be getting reimbursed for. So we'll have to wait into December and even into next year, which is scary because November, December is typically the Christmas rush, as far as advertising is concerned, is the big advertising months. A good November, December equals January through May of ad revenue for your typical YouTube channel, if you can think of it that way. So that skews all that. And so not only will we have to wait to see, we'll have to wait even longer and perhaps wait to see and work for free. Hey, that's a slogan. Get out the pickets and start chanting that outside of YouTube offices. I don't know. It is honestly, in my personal opinion, more reason for folks of our industry to get together and again, I know union is a scary word to say in certain circles, but I don't know. Do we need a YouTuber, perhaps like different subsets? We've got the Vloggers Local 404, and then we can have the gaming, which would encompass both YouTube and streamers, Twitch and stuff like that. The gaming content creators, local 60602, whatever. I don't know what the solution is. I'm certainly not the one to figure it out. myself, but yeah, I mean, it would seem like that's the time to have some sort of proper representation of our voice on our side, because otherwise there's no voice to be listened to right now. And certainly, like I said, the networks might have their own deals. We need this organization to even work between us and YouTube, but also us and the networks, if anybody's with a network or anything like that. I don't know. It's just a lot of words being thrown around. None of them really tend to mean anything, because nothing is coming, like I said, directly from the horse's mouth. I don't even expect any words to come from the horse's mouth. We have never heard any sort of explanation about Google Plus that was supposed to be removed from YouTube. We've got no ETA on that or anything, or what affected there, or what has happened to the sub feeds on the homepage, and all that crazy stuff. So, oh well. Just if you do wish to support your local content creator, just a lot of us have moved to Patreon. Once again, perhaps something that has urged a lot of people like myself, oh, support me on Patreon and I'll remove ads from YouTube. Well, YouTube loses money in that regard, so they want to counter that with this. So they're looking for revenue themselves for their own platform, not necessarily concerned about the creators, perhaps. So, if you do want to make sure, if you are worried that perhaps you sign up for the trial, or perhaps you're worried and want to make sure that your favorite creator continues, perhaps you want to tip over the boat of the status quo of advertise-driven internet content, just go find your YouTubers' Patreons, put $1. There's no minimum to Patreon. Put $1 in there, and on another channel, and on another channel, and then if that all adds up to $10 or whatever a YouTube Red subscription would be, then you've done more than advertising could ever fund. Excuse me, Wolfie, for that YouTuber or that group of YouTubers or whatever, content creators, vloggers, bloggers, musicians, anything. It supports a lot of stuff. Whoops, I am a little bit close to this tree here, making this elevated hidey hole. Let's do this sideways, why don't we? And then, finally, we will get to some questions from donors to Child's Play charity at farlandsabus.com in the morning. Oh, I also kind of want to follow up on yesterday's episode as well. I am weird about planning these episodes, but yeah, let's do that, and then continue to the Farlands. And awakeness. Oh, I wanted to make one more point. Just one more point. A few of the comments, blogs, vlogs that I saw about YouTube Red is, well, it's only available in the USA for now. So it's, it shouldn't impact you that much, because the USA is only a portion of the Earth, and viewer availability on YouTube. So it shouldn't bother that much. For me personally, USA, even though, yes, my sole, or my primary source of being able to do this full-time is no longer YouTube ads, but just right now, YouTube revenue, my total YouTube revenue, 61% of it comes from US viewers. So it's not as small of a piece of the pie as perhaps you may imagine in that regard. So USA. So yeah, I don't know how that applies to other YouTubers, but I imagine it's fairly similar. 61% of revenue, not necessarily views or watch time or anything, but just the revenue, ad revenue. 61% of my total comes from US viewers, just to keep that in mind. But anyway, I do want to switch gears a little bit and be a little bit more positive. I do appreciate everybody's very kind responses to Tuesday's episode of Farlands of Bust, episode 523, where I broke down the fourth wall and talked a bit about my feelings and my opinions of my performance. It was a performance review, for those of you who have those in your jobs. in co-op and multiplayer video collabs and things like that, talking about how I don't feel I'm good at it, or I don't portray myself well enough as YouTube Kurt in those instances, and I got a lot of good responses. I tried my best to reply to most of them through YouTube comments, of course, through my, speaking of Google Plus, through my Kurt Indeed account. If you hear from somebody called Kurt Indeed in the comments of my video, that's me, because I can't comment with Kurt JMac because Google Plus. And so yeah, I tried to reply. You had a lot of good ideas, good input about what it may be. I mean, certainly, like I suggested, the probably go-to way to, I don't want to say solve, because it's really not a huge problem, it seems. Certainly from your perspectives, it doesn't seem to be as huge a problem as perhaps I may have made it sound in that episode. But the idea is to perhaps practice. Just keep doing more collabs. Don't force it. Don't go overboard, and don't try to be somebody other than myself. Nobody. That seemed the big theme was don't be not Kurt during these collabs. We like Kurt. That's why we're here to watch your channel. But perhaps just more practice in it, in doing collabs. Perhaps smaller collabs, and perhaps co-op videos with people you know and are comfortable with, or perhaps are of similar kind of personalities would really help. So just some really good thoughts, and I really do appreciate that. And I do appreciate your appreciation, I guess. I hope you guys like kind of getting involved, kind of, helping me out. And this is the sort of thing I do on Patreon. I have surveys and I ask questions to my patrons every now and again. I'm trying to do that more and more now, to try to have a little bit more of a behind the scenes, have a little bit more, perhaps, not influence. I don't want to say anybody's influencing my content, but just a little bit more involvement, I suppose, in the Kurt JMac situation here as we continue on now, working on our 5th year of doing YouTube. Crazy townness. What the heck? Makes no sense why this is even still going on, but I appreciate it. It's all thanks to you guys. Indeed. Speaking of which, something we've been doing going on almost 5 years is raising money for Child's Play charity and taking questions, which with some of those donations, if they have them, donor KOR has asked, have you ever been skiing? Would you consider it? I have never been skiing. I'm not a particular fan. Not that I don't like it, but I'm not a particular. I've never been a particular fan of winter sports in general. I don't know. I don't know any. I don't have any friends in particular or family members who have ever done the skiing thing or winter vacations and resorts or whatever. So I don't have too much experience with it. But trying it, I've been interested in trying, just like I'm interested in doing like whitewater rafting and kayaking and stuff like that. It seems like an interesting thing. I don't like how everybody I seem to see who does skiing on a regular basis gets horribly injured. It seems to be a common thread, and I'm sure it's just because that's what you remember, and you don't remember the mass, the majority, excuse me, of people who ski perfectly fine year in and year out, but injuries seem like a common thing with skiing. I mean, I suppose possibly, but I'm not. I'm not a huge. I would rather go someplace warm and go hiking or climbing or whitewater rafting or or that sort of thing is probably my preferred outdoor activity that I would rather do. I would choose that sort of thing if I was given the choice between going skiing or going hiking or going to the Grand Canyon or whatever. I would choose that instead, obviously, but possibly consider it, maybe. I don't know. It's one of those things that it seems like requires a lot of practice. So at first, seems like it would really not be enjoyable to a fullest degree that I would expect it to. But maybe that's kind of a barrier to it. But no, I've personally never, ever been skiing or snowboarding or any of that stuff. Zach Zach asking some crazy questions here. Have you ever tried illicit substances such as the marijuana? Were you ever pressured to do so during your youth? No and no. Perhaps I wasn't hanging out with the cool kids or something, but I never encountered it in personal spaces or other people until adulthood, at which point I had already made my decision that I wanted really no part of it. Not for any, like, major moral reasons or anything like that, just that I wasn't interested. It's just like, I'm not interested in it at all. There is kind of a culture that goes along with that stuff as well. We're talking about, like, light stuff here, like the marijuana. We're not going into the very, very bad stuff. But I'm certainly a proponent against the quote-unquote war on drugs that, puts so many people wrongly for extended periods of time into the prison system and makes more criminals out of them than when they went in, and all that stuff. I'm certainly an advocate on the side of or against that part of it, but I don't myself partake. I was never offered partakeage growing up in my youth or anything like that. So, but yeah, I'm not even curious to find out what it's like or anything like that. There is a little bit of, like I said, with the culture of it, there seems to be people who do partake regularly in the smoking of the pot. They seem to think everybody else does too. Like, they seem to think, oh, everybody does it. It should be legal. And maybe it should be legal. I don't know. I really haven't looked into the full economics or socioeconomics of that, but there seems to be like a misconception. Everybody smokes pot. The vast majority of people smoke pot on a regular basis. It's an everyday thing that people just do. No, you might be surprised. You might be surprised. Nobody I know personally, for a long period of time, family, close friends, whatever, as far as I'm aware, ever did, or never do they talk about it or anything like that. Or, most of the time, if it ever comes up in conversation, it's like, I wouldn't even know where to get any of that stuff, or anything like that. Ow! And maybe I'm just like a huge geek or nerd or something that just, doesn't have friends or connections, but I wouldn't even know where to begin. So that's kind of the running joke in that regard. We could use a little bit more wood here, so let's chop it down this little tree, I guess. So yeah, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, is basically where that line of thought is coming from. But thanks for the question, Zach. Akzu from cold Finland. Do you go skiing in Finland? Asks, do you prefer your coffee to be dark roasted or light roasted? Well, here's the thing. It all depends on the bean, and a lot of the places I get it all depends on the bean. A lot of the places I get my coffee from, your intelligentsias, your stup towns and whatnot, know how much or how to roast a particular bean based on its profile. It's usually things like French roast and dark roasts are done to that degree because roasting a coffee really dark tends to mask the fact that it's a crummy coffee. So usually, when you look at quote-unquote French roasts, it is that way because the coffee itself stinks, and roasting it super long and super dark masks that fact. And I kind of mentioned that before. If your coffee is that glossy, oily surface, reflective surface to the actual whole bean, then that means it's probably been overcooked and it's been sitting too long. It's not fresh, because all of that means all of the oils, which is where all the flavors exist, are coming out of the coffee bean, before you roast it, which is bad. It's bad news. So, it depends, but definitely I suppose, in the grand scheme of things, the stuff that I get is a little bit more medium to lighter roasted, because that tends to preserve more of that bean specific flavor. The bean specific flavor or whatnot. I mean, even the stuff that's regarded as dark roasts from Intelligentsia or a place like that is a lot lighter roasted than, you know, the widely commercialized Starbucksy available stuff that you normally see. Do I need anything here? Maybe an axe, but that's kind of lasting a while. And I'm doing all right on the armor, except for my chest plate might need replacing in the next half a dozen or so episodes. I'm still carrying around this helmet for some reason. I don't know why. Also, this pink wool. Inventory management. I do not do it ever. Oh, man. So, yes. I do appreciate everybody for watching this episode of Farlands Bust and for donating to Child's Play charity at farlandsbust.com. Wolfie appreciates it too. Woof woof. And I appreciate your patience in talking about this YouTube Red thing. It's less of, I suppose it's less of a deal for you as a viewer than it is for us as creators. So that's why we're talking about it a lot. And I hope you can endure. And if anything, we're trying to simply educate you all as to what happens from our end so that you may make your own proper decisions about whether or not you want to sign up for it. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the math, which we have no idea, might mean it's a positive thing. From what I've heard, it should provide more for the creators than advertising alone ever could. But not if we're not getting paid for a free trial, and not if we don't know what the split is and who gets what and how much of what based on what view or time viewed, or, you know. So it's all very frustrating. Is really we're just frustrated. We're frustrated. we all right. No, all right. So let's wrap this up. Thank you, everybody. Like I said, for your thoughts on last episode, and I look forward to talking and conversing and collaborating with you on similar things in the future as we continue, like I said, in the future, against all odds, walking to the far lands in Minecraft Beta 1.7.3. Wait, yeah, that's right, Beta 1.7.3. My name is Kurt. Thank you so much for watching. farlandsbust.com. Donate to Child's Play charity. I will see you next time. YouTube, the